Hey y'all, Michelle Raza here with the Finding Yourself Book Club. And I apologize for my mouth. I had a dental procedure done today, and so we have a Halloween theme because I can't smile normally right now. I didn't want to leave you guys without video, so I'm here anyway. Forgive me for my sideways mouth. But today we're going to talk about Lindsay Gibson's Recovering from Emotionally Immature Parents. We've been talking about how EI parents are hostile toward your inner world. And so today we're going to go through her responses for how to reclaim or how to protect your right to your inner world. If you haven't had a chance, please do check out our website. We're at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. There you can take our free life balance questionnaire and send it to us. You can also just fill out a contact form and we'll be in touch. Your first consult is always free and there's no obligation thereafter. Also, please do like and subscribe. It really does help us little YouTubers. And thanks. We will go ahead and get started. Okay, so this first one is pretty short, but we'll go over it. Response 1. Claim your right to ignore them. So if you remember, we're talking about this chapter overall. We're talking about how EI parents or EIPs, they don't have to be your parent, but how they're hostile toward your inner world, and how ultimately you may have even forgotten how to connect with yourself and what your feelings are. So we want to defend our right to our innermost experiences. She started by talking about the importance of your inner world and what it gives you overall. So why does this even matter, right? And then how the EIP feels about your inner world, which if you take nothing away from this section, it is essentially that the EIP is concerned about themselves. And so if your view or your inner world doesn't align with theirs, they really have no interest in you or in your inner world at all. And it is important for you to reclaim that, because without it, you're essentially missing out on a very important part of your own life. We went into why EIPs are so hostile toward your inner world, and then how you personally can learn to turn against yourself and your own inner world. I feel like I keep saying that word, so apologies. And then now we're going to talk about her response 1. Claim your right to ignore them. Sometimes not responding is the best way of responding. By ignoring them or moving your attention elsewhere, you put an end to their dismissal of your viewpoint. Ignoring is a great stopgap measure. Disregarding unwanted behavior is an effective way of decreasing its frequency. So there's a couple of different, I don't know if you want to call them metaphors or stories that come to mind here. One of the first is just the saying that the grass grows where you water it. And so if you choose not to put water on those negative emotions or those things that they're trying to bring to your forefront, then it can't grow. And the other one is a story. It's a Native American story, and I've heard it multiple times. I'm not sure which author I read it under. It may have been a Dr. Brewer thing. So Dr. Brewer runs the Unwinding Anxiety program. It's an app, and it's the first 4 modules of the app are free. They're really cool, but then beyond that, you do have to pay, and it's somewhat expensive. I did do it though, and it's excellent. I highly recommend it. But I believe it was him that was talking about the 2 wolves. And I may be confused. It might have been another author. I do read a lot of these books and trying to provide you guys good service. But it was a Native American tale about the story of 2 wolves. And one wolf is the one that's violent and tends to be possessive and just not a very good part of who we are. And there's the 2 wolves that live inside of us, and they're always in battle. And then the other one is the one that is loving and compassionate and embraces other people's needs and states their own needs, etc. And so it's a grandpa telling his son about the story about the 2 wolves. And the son says, "Grandpa, so how do I make sure that the good wolf is the one that perseveres or that wins the battle inside of me? And he says, son, it's very easy. It's the wolf that you feed that will be the one who wins. And so by ignoring these behaviors that we really just don't want to see, every time that you engage, it will just increase the conflict. So if you're like, why do you always say that? Why do you always do this? Please don't do this. Sometimes if someone's receptive to you, then maybe they'll address it and maybe they'll stop doing it because they love you and they don't want to bother you. But if you're dealing with an EIP and you try and raise the issues to them, that kind of just fuels their fire. It bothers me when you talk about politics, so why do you always need to talk about politics? Ooh, you just gave them fuel. And so then now every time they get to see you, they're going to make sure that they talk about the politics because they know that it bothers you, it puts you in a vulnerable position, it kind of shuts you down, and it lets them start talking, and you kind of sit there, the victim, listening, right? But if you ignored the politics and you just kind of changed the topic and talked about something else that you were more interested in talking about, then you're not giving them any fuel. And so that's the point when Lindsay's saying, when Dr. Gibson is telling us to ignore what it is that they're saying, it's not, and I think I've said this in previous videos, but if you are dealing with someone who is receptive to you, when you raise a concern, then you should raise the concern. But 9 times out of 10, when you're dealing with an EIP, it doesn't matter if you try to raise the concern, they're not interested, right? And so ignoring them, ignoring the things that you don't want to feed is a good way to just move on to the things that you do want to feed and you do want to engage them in. If you're watching this and you're interested in how to deal with an EIP, it's because you don't want to cut them out of your life necessarily. They're your family, you love them, you want to have a relationship, but you understand that you can't really have a deep emotional connection or a fulfilling relationship. So what do? How do you deal? And so she's saying just ignore the things that you don't want to feed. Now, I would be careful here, and I'm sure that we'll get to it in the other points. You can't make a problem go away by ignoring it, but you can choose to feed the more positive things. So just take this with a grain of salt. Don't necessarily start ignoring things that are crossing your boundaries or bothering you, but just feed the wolf that you want to see win the fight. Feed water the grass that you want to see grow. Just keep that in mind, and really focus on the things that can bring you benefits and joy in your relationship with your loved ones. So, shorter video today. Please do like and subscribe if you get a chance, and check out our website. We're at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. Take care.